Welcome to the Trading Psychology and Mindset podcast. My name is Ash Playstead. I am your host as always. Now, if there is one thing 25 years of trading has taught me, it's that we should study human nature, how our minds work, as much, if not more, than we study the markets. Why is this? Well, answering that question is fundamental to every trader breaking through to consistent profitability, which is what each and every one of us wants, right? We get into trading to be profitable. The show is all about answering that question and providing real, tangible, and actionable steps you can take to train the mind you bring to trading into the mind you need for trading success. Now, in this episode, I'm going to dive into one of the many paradoxes, the many seeming contradictions that exist in trading. And the one that I want to talk about today is the difference between courage and impulsiveness. They are similar, yet very different. One works really well in trading, whilst one is a real problem in trading, but is very useful in normal life at the same time. So you can already sense the conflict right there, can't you? So let's dive over and I'll see you in the show. Today we're going to look a lot more closely at two words and what they mean, what the difference is. Courage versus impulsiveness. Now, whilst one is vital in your moving from not being profitable to being consistently profitable, to extracting a reliable source of income from the markets, through to the other, which is making decisions on the spur of the moment driven by fight flight. Now, what is this difference and why does it matter? As well as, and this is super important because this is one trap that many traders fall into, is mistaking impulsiveness for courage. Now, I'll give you an example of what I mean here. So, if you're facing a set of circumstances where some information being revealed by the market and you feel like it's going to be meeting your trading setup, your rules, but for one reason or another, something doesn't quite add up, and instinctively you're aware that it probably doesn't meet your criteria, but something inside of you gets triggered and you switch from logical, impartial, and patient thinking to mistaking impulsiveness for courage, which is the taking of action. So it's the taking of action which is mistaken for courage. If you take action based on impulsiveness, you are simply responding to your fight-flight mechanism. Now, how many traders and how many people outside of trading end up thinking they're being courageous when in fact they're being impulsive? Now, are there circumstances in life where being impulsive is the courageous thing to do? Yes, of course. There are particularly in the spur of the moment situations, I would call them, where you need to act quickly and you don't have time to think things through rationally. This is why this response is instantaneous. Now, the example that I want to give you here is, let's say you are on the side of the road and minding your own business, and then you see in the middle of the road a person crossing the road and a bus is careering towards them. And you've got about 3 seconds, right? They can't see the bus coming and the bus can't stop. So you've got 3 seconds to act and potentially save that person's life. Now, what do? Do you take a minute to think things through? No. If you do, the person is dead. Now, that is impulsive, taking instant action. You haven't got time to think about it. You just take action. Now, that is courageous. That is impulsive. But that is not how you should be in trading. So you can see the problem here, right? That is courageous. That is impulsive. They are effectively the same thing. However, in trading, what is needed is courage, not impulsiveness. So if I was to define the difference in trading courage, right, it's facing up to what you've been denying about yourself. It's facing up to your inner dragons. It's those parts of yourself that you've been hiding from that are probably what you might also call your limiting beliefs, the parts of you that you believe to be true because that's what you believe. Now, the reason this is important, really important, is because when you get out into the trading environment and the market starts revealing information to you, random as it is and uncertain as it is, The market is still revealing information to you moment by moment. Now, what happens is we then have our own perspective on that market, and our perspective is based on our beliefs. And our beliefs, that things that we believe to be true, how we see the world, right? How we see the world. Now the courage comes in the trading situation when you need to change your beliefs, because your beliefs are what are getting projected onto the market. And that is what ultimately shows up in your trading account. Now, unless your trading account is showing a consistent upward trajectory on the graph, your equity curve is constantly upwards, which is very few people. If that's not the case, your beliefs about how you handle that information flow from the market and how it pertains to your trading rules is corrupted. And it takes a lot of courage to turn inwardly here, to challenge your own beliefs, to challenge what you believe and hold about yourself, your upbringing, the very truth as you see it. Now, that takes a lot of courage to face and work on. So, this desire to make things happen, to use our willpower, to use our aggressiveness to overcome a challenge, this part of human nature is very, very powerful. Instinctively, it's hardwired into pretty much all of us. Then, if you add to this the lived experience that each of us have, that each of us bring to the market right from the moment of birth, through our childhood, society, our upbringing, school, the workplace, everything in that environment, everything around us, any experiences that we've had, this leads us into a belief system that essentially stands in conflict to trading. In trading, you need to be open to the flow of information. You need to hold a belief that anything can happen. You need to hold a belief that you don't know what's going to happen and you don't need to know. You need to hold a belief that you can't change what's going to happen. And this stands in stark contrast to the beliefs most people bring to trading, whether they are aware of them or not. These are the beliefs that most people bring to trading. And now this is where it gets really interesting. This is where both the problem and the opportunity exist. And look, isn't that the case in so many parts of life, right? That opportunities come camouflaged as problems. So the problem in trading, as we are pertaining to here, is that many, many traders act impulsively based on triggers where the market connects or associates the emotional pain of trading to past emotional pain. And the way we deal with pain normally is to flee from it or attack it or avoid it. And that is the death knell in trading. So courage is about changing our belief system. Courage is about focusing on what we can change within ourselves and not attaching our emotions to what the market is revealing, what it is telling us. Now, as obvious as this may be, very few traders fully integrate this into their belief system, into their very being. And what do I mean by integrating it, into their being, right? It's actually holding it as a fundamental reflexive belief. And this is where the term mindset reflexology really evolved from for me. It's something that I became aware of in my trading, that more and more knowledge, more and more study of the market was not improving my trading. So it had to be something else. So I became aware that it's in our very human nature. And in more than that, it's about actually the opposite of our human nature is what's needed in trading. So it takes a lot of courage to bring our existing thinking system forward and rebuild it, and then start to practice baking it into our everyday life. And this is also why I contend that life outside of trading is so very important, and it's intimately connected to our life in trading. And that's why compartmentalizing trading and thinking you have one set of beliefs in trading and a different set of beliefs outside of trading, it very, very rarely works, if ever. Because under pressure, and the pressure of trading is unique, your true belief system is what gets exposed. So we need to work, there. That's where the work is required. And most people don't do the work. And even if they do the work, it's often the wrong work, right? Because they're not getting the right guidance. They're being led down the wrong path, that I need to learn more about the market, or I need to practice positive thinking or affirmations. And there's all of that stuff. That's not going to change your belief system. It takes time and work and effort and focus and support and some trial and error to truly build a set of beliefs based on courage. The courage to face your dragons, the courage to overcome and manage your dragons. And I want to clarify something here. It's not about defeating or vanquishing or slaying your dragons, which is, popular terminology in culture. It's about confronting and managing them, training them so that when you're in that trading environment, you don't get triggered into emotional situations and you open yourself up to the ultimate truth. What the market is actually telling you. That is the only truth that matters. What can you do about this? You can train yourself to be open to what the market is revealing so you can recognize and utilize your edge without being triggered into emotional pain. So in that situation, you become able to calmly execute your trading system, based on using courage to build, in fact, rebuild your belief system, not via the reactiveness of impulsiveness, right? Which is reacting based on fight, flight, which is what trips over most traders, right? That gets triggered when the market associates the threat that you perceive in the information being revealed from the market with any past emotional pain. This is what happens, right, at a neurological level. The change in information that the market's revealing that is in any way different to your expectations, that triggers a connection with any past emotional pain. This is where we need to neutralize that connection. So there's a very important learning opportunity getting revealed right there, okay? You would want to ask yourself, what happens, right? What happens is we generally responding with impulsiveness. We attack, we avoid, we run. Just as in the example that I mentioned earlier, where the person instinctively attacks the danger that the person in the front of the bus was facing. This is how most people respond to threat when they trade. This is really, really challenging. So that use of instinctiveness and impulsiveness is very, very powerful in parts of life. You can save someone's life. You haven't got time to think. But in trading, that doesn't work. So we need to come to terms with that great contradiction, right? So what exactly is the threat in trading, you may ask? Right? I use the word threat. The market's not threatening me. It's not a living beast. It's deeper and more nuanced than that. The threat is any information revealed by the market in real time that differs even slightly from your expectations. Now, may I add, having expectations, that is another word for a different episode right there. You should never trade with expectations of an outcome that goes one way or another. We talk about that in another episode. So the key learning here, the actionable area, the area that I would highly recommend you focus on, is you'll need to train yourself to neutralize the threat. And we do that by training our mind into a new set of beliefs that correspond with the market without triggering us into any emotional pain. And we do this by facing our existing fears and our existing beliefs with courage and then rebuilding them. We don't react with impulsiveness. So please take that away. We face our existing fears and beliefs with courage, not impulsiveness. Now, in another episode, I'm going to go into in detail what the core beliefs that are required to be successful in trading and how to integrate them into your core being. Okay, we'll talk about that in another episode. Okay, so thank you, fellow traders, for joining me in this episode. I truly hope you have found both value and actionable steps that you can take away into your own life and trading. So I'll see you on the next episode of the Trading Psychology and Mindset Show.